Hi YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to get straight into a mailbag program. These questions have been asked by several people and I'm going to try and notify those people by email, because it's better than I give their name out, because players may be watching this channel now and would pick up on these questions. So that's the reason I'm being a little bit secretive over it. Anyway, the first question without further ado, go on in Bubbles, there you go. Is pretty simply this. It's about insurmountable odds. The particular DM in question asked me, he had a scenario where he wants to basically absolutely surround his group with some bandits and take away most of their money. What did I think about using insurmountable odds? What were my thoughts around that? And what I think would most likely happen, I think, is what he's asking. It never works the way you plan it, if I'm being honest. Insurmountable odds are a horrible thing. A lot of players hate them. A lot of players see through it for what it is, as a tool for the DM to take things away, and it never works the way you want. I've got players that would play certain character classes, and I can sort of feel it's sort of a D&D game, who would, if they were playing a paladin, would not surrender. And then you've got a real problem on your hands. I've even got groups that have beaten. When I was back in the past, I've had them turn the insurmountable odds against me and actually beat the living crap out of them, actually, and that was quite embarrassing. And then they've got more money and stuff, which is the point of the insurmountable odds. That's a story for another time. So I think what you've got to do is you've got to realise that you have to take your shot on this. There will be an opportunity. Every DM will get one with the campaign. Constantly, there's always opportunities where you can try and do the same thing in a much more productive way. I think in your case, you mentioned that the group was going on to a city next. I say let them go to the city and try and have a situation where you can get some really good role playing in. Let them go off and do some things in the city, you know, buying equipment, stuff like that. Maybe take a shot at one of the weaker players, person who's, you know, when I say weaker, I mean basically inexperienced, you know, less experienced. There's a great lesson to be learned here for that type of player. And, you know, set something up. You know, maybe something along the lines of where they overhear a conversation with what looks like a very wealthy merchant who's looking for a final investor for, you know, an amount that the players have, a good amount, you know, maybe 2/3 of what they've got, you know, whatever that is in your game, don't know. So let's just use an analogy. Let's say it's 5,000 gold. I'm looking for 5,000 more, and you know, I can put this deal down, and I'm well known in the city. You know, I'm well known, got a great reputation, and I know I can pull this off. I'm just missing a backer. Where are we going to find one? I need one in the next... I've got to find one literally in the next hour, or this deal's dead. And then you've got the chance to play on that play, you see, because you can say, look, you know, look what you've overheard. What do you think? Would you be interested in that? Or they walk away. They may walk away, but because they're inexperienced, they may take a shot at it. And if they ask questions about this person to anybody, they're going to get a response. Yeah, very well known, well-to-do merchant, very good. He's got a great reputation, which of course he will have. But of course, the person that they've overheard isn't that merchant. Just so you know, it's the setup. And of course, if they give over the money, you've got to set the scene up where the guy's got a really good out route, because it's got to be a professional out route. You know, even if it's something simple like, you know, he says, right, no problem, bring the money to this location. You know, obviously bring all your, you know, if there's several investors, bring them along. It's not a problem. Have it up high in some quite posh buildings, quite well-to-do building, a meeting room of some kind, maybe in a tower. You know, players hand the money over. He walks calmly across the window, throws himself out, and feather falls to the ground. By the time the players get down there, it's long gone with their cash, or whatever. You know, you get the idea. You just got to be creative, and it's a great way of pulling a stroke on the players, and they won't feel bad about it because it was one of the players that overheard the conversation. He could have backed out. That's the beauty of it. Could have backed out, didn't. So, you know, that's a little bit softer than insurmountable odds. So I try to be very careful with insurmountable odds. I mean, there are many very well-known modules that have tried insurmountable odds, and it's never worked very well. I've seen modules. A3 was a classic, where at the very end of the module, it's actually asking the referee to actually make sure that the players fail their saving throws so they collapse, so that they wake up on the island in A4 and have to find their way off. I mean, although it's a very exciting module, the players felt very bitter about it, because not only are they captured, but all their equipment is stripped and they've got nothing. Oh, blimey, that really was a tough one to sell to your players. So just be careful of insurmountable odds and how you use it. Just think creatively. And the next question is all about cheating. And I don't really have to go into too much detail, but what I will say is the DM in question told me that his player I was caught by the players, I think, and by the DM looking over the screen. And obviously, probably by reading in between the lines, there's obviously been a few other incidents as well, but it pretty much caught red-handed. What did I think about it? And he sort of handled it at the time as like sort of said, listen, you know, do that again, I'm docking experience points type thing. What did I think about that? I mean, I've done very much what you've done before in the past. You know, it's how I've handled it. And then I've had other situations. A lot. I'm talking a few years back now where I've actually immediately docked XP for different reasons. That being one of them. And I've learned the harsh lesson actually that just does not work actually, because the game is so evenly balanced as the game has developed over the years. That balance in the groups, once you start teetering with the XP and players start dropping behind, it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. You know, you put yourself in a really tricky spot with that docking XP, because it could even be that the character, 2 or 3 games down the line, he's a few thousand back and actually dies legitimately. You know, maybe he's towed the line. Then what do you bring him in at? What experience point do you bring him in at? Because the game's moved forward 2 or 3 levels. What do you do? Bring him in at the high level, of course, but what about the fact that he cheated? Where's the level loss there? Where's the experience point? And it becomes a bit grey, doesn't it? You know, and so what I tend to do is I tend to look at this in a different way, and this is why I've always used the analogy of players being good players are golfers, because they call their own fouls. You know, if they forget a small rule in the game, they're the first ones to turn around and say, I made a mistake, I misinterpreted it, my fault, I apologise. I look for that courtesy in the game. That's why I roll all my dice openly, because I don't want to be regarded as someone fudging the dice behind the screen. I mean, it's so easy to do for the DM. And I don't want my players to feel that they've got to fudge the dice to succeed. I want them to feel that, you know, they can do it with good planning, with a little bit of luck, but good team skills and the fact that they support each other. They can get through these things. If a player cheats, and it's happened, you know, cheating does happen in RPGs. It's a tragedy, but there you go, it does happen. I'm going to tell you a little story now about cheating and explain how I handle it. Well, actually, let me explain how I handle it, to be honest. That'd be probably the quicker thing. Bottom line is I'd take that player to one side. If I was absolutely categorically certain in my own mind that they were cheating, I'd say that I can't accept it. I'm not tolerating this again. If it happens again, you're out. And I don't care if they're a 25-year veteran or a brand new player to the group. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. Toe the line or get out. Yeah, it may be a game, but you know, we could easily say it's only a game. But if we play a ball game and everybody was cheating, what's the point of playing it? There's no point to it. So there has to be it's a really important one. And I'm just going to give you a story about a guy who literally had his strike 2. He was caught cheating in one of my sessions by very experienced players, which didn't go down very well. Didn't learn his lesson. And then he done something to me. I was getting a bit worried about something with his dice rolls. There was just something in my mind that really was getting me upset. Anyway, I saw him roll a dice one time, and he picked dice up randomly, roll one, boom, 20. And he did that. Well, it was a 20. Grabbed the dice, and at that point I said, stop. Just for a sec, I said to him, stop. Just hold on a sec. I said to him, that was not a 20. And you imagine a feeling around the room when you as a DM do that. It's not nice. And he went, yeah, it was. And you can think for a second, you think, how are you going to prove that? Well, this is the funny bits of the story. So I said to him, look, it wasn't a 20. And I said, it's really obvious why. I said, because you're not using a 20. And he opened his hand up, and inside his hand, although it was a D20, it was one of those D20 that's just numbered 1 to 10, 2 lots of 1 to 10. Well, the look of embarrassment and shock on his face was priceless. And the players, well, they ripped him a new one, really. He didn't come back again. But it just shows you, you know, it's one of them things. It does happen in RPGs, but I would rather handle it that you take someone to one side, because it's politer on them. You know, you've categorically seen something, you're not happy about it. It's how you phrase it. So you say to them, look, I'll keep my screen, all my stuff behind the screen is private. I'd appreciate, please don't lean over my screen, because, you know, and you're not saying they're cheating here, but you're just saying, don't lean over my screen. Because that stuff's private, I want to entertain you, and if you do that, then you know, it destroys everything I'm trying to do. So please don't do it again. Do I get your support on that? Don't do it again. And they're going to say yes. And you know, if you then have a quiet word with a couple of the players as well, the players will probably pick up on it as well for you, and they'll make it clear it's not tolerated. So that's generally how I deal with it, and I hope you've enjoyed this program. It's been an interesting one. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. Cheers from the UK. Take care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye-bye.